Hard work is a great value in ethic. Ethics of our fathers tells us, Yigias Shneim, of both work in Torah study to advance in your Torah knowledge, as well as in earning a livelihood, is both of them are mashkachat avon. They cause us to stay away from sin. There's also a refining of a person's character, a sensitivity that starts to develop through hard work, responsibility, accountability, and so on. The Talmud says that if somebody comes to you and says, I worked hard and I did not find, yagati v'loy matzasi, I toiled, I worked, and I didn't find what I was after, so al tamin, don't believe him. The simple understanding of that is that if somebody says that I worked hard and I didn't succeed, then clearly don't believe him in that he worked hard. He clearly didn't work hard. But there's a interpretation of this from the Rebbe of Kotsk, who said, al tamin, don't believe, not that he didn't work hard, but don't believe that he didn't succeed. In other words, if a person works hard, just that value itself is already a success. Hard work itself is a success. So if you've actually worked hard, don't believe in when he says he didn't find anything. No, that hard work, that ethic, that value itself is something that he found. But here, there's a distinction as to how hard we have to work and for what it is that we apply ourselves to for hard work. The Torah opens this week's Torah portion, Parsha Tetzaveh, with the instruction to crush oil and prepare oil to use to kindle the menorah. And it says that the oil had to be crushed katit lamaor, kasis lamaor. It had to be crushed to illuminate, for illumination. And Rashi, quoting from the sages, says that it's kasis lamaor, it has to be crushed for illumination, but not kasis lemenachis, not the oil that is used in the flour offerings, the meal offerings that were offered in the temple, those offerings, the oil used there did not have to be crushed and prepared in the same way, to the same extent as the oil used for burning in the menorah and the candelabra. Now, Torah represents, the menorah, the candelabra represents Torah study, knowledge, right? The wisdom, and particularly Torah wisdom, is compared to light. Ecclesiastes says that a person's wisdom illuminates their face or shines through their face. You can see that wisdom shining through them. When a person understands something, you could see how their eyes would light up when they have a new appreciation or deeper understanding of something that they're thinking about. And so the menorah, the candelabra, represents Torah study. The menachot, or the meal offerings that were offered in the temple, which were made of flour and oil, those represent food, right? Bread, which is the staple of our diet. So that represents our food, our livelihood. When it comes to Torah study, here the Torah instructs us it has to be kasis, it has to be crushed, it requires hard work, labor, toil. A person needs to work and apply themselves and work harder to understand more and more, deeper and deeper, and that comes through hard work. But when it comes to earning a living, sure, we have to work hard. But when it comes to working hard to earn a living, the origins of that is after the sin of the tree of knowledge. God says to Adam, by the sweat of your brow will you eat bread, right? In other words, if I can make a living and provide for my family without having to break a sweat, I would take that path and that route. And so, sure, hard work is also a blessing, even in toiling to earn a living. But the question is to what extent and what is the inherent value there? The psalmist says, that when you eat the labor of your hands, fortunate and good on you. So what does that mean? The toil of your hands, the labor of your hands, means that what we engage with when it comes to earning a living, we engage with our hands, our limbs, our extremities. I apply myself as much as necessary, and certainly with devotion and commitment for sure, but as much as necessary to get the job done properly, but not beyond that. Whereas when it comes to studying Torah, when it comes to understanding God, coming to know God, relating to God, which is through His divine wisdom, through the Torah, here it's not just that you apply yourself enough to be able to understand, but you apply yourself completely and fully and totally. And so when it comes to Torah study, we need to really work hard. We can't expect for it to come naturally to us. And even that which does come naturally, we do understand, but we need to apply ourselves again and again, review, repeat, explore, probe deeper and deeper, and toil in to the best of our ability. Whereas when it comes to earning a living, we know that ultimately our blessings come from God. God provides for us. And so we just need to put in the effort that's necessary to create that vessel and that space for God's blessing. And so this is a little lesson from Kasis Lamar, crushed for illumination, that the idea of the crushing has to be for illumination, for Torah study, as opposed to other pursuits and endeavors. But conclude with one other point, that Kasis Lamar also tells us crushed to give light. So the Chassidic interpretation of this is that the Jewish people, when they're crushed, when they're persecuted in exile, so that brings out their true light. And this is unfortunately something that we see today as well, when the Jewish people are facing the rise in anti-Semitism, when we're feeling that squeeze all over the place. Just talking to a friend earlier this morning who lives out in a European country that shall remain nameless now, who's talking about friends of his that are leaving, flocking out of the country, that it's just extremely uncomfortable to walk around knowing that you're Jewish and knowing that people on the street know that you're Jewish. They feel unsafe. So people are feeling persecuted and hounded in a way today that we might not have experienced in our lifetime, not in recent history. And it's bringing out the best in us, for sure. People are identifying, connecting, showing their Judaism with great pride. And that's a wonderful thing. However, we need to move past that. Hopefully, we thought we were moving past this, really, and that the crushing of exile should not just be persecution from outside, anti-Semitism and other forms of hatred that force the Jewish people to shine their beautiful light. But the kassis has to be an internal kassis, an internal crushing, a recognition, realizing that as long as there's evil in the world, as long as lies are perpetuated in the world, as long as God is not manifest and revealed in the world, that itself should bother us as well. So even if we're blessed to live in countries or in places where we're not feeling that squeeze, even if we are blessed to live a very comfortable and happy life, but the fact that we know that God's vast eternal plan has not fully been realized yet, the fact that we know that there are parts of the world where there's lying, where there's hatred, strife, and persecution, that is something that is still going on in God's world, which He had created. That's something that should bother us. That's something that should crush us internally and bring out our light, a dedication, a commitment. And so, in that way, we pursue our Judaism and explore our Jewishness and our connection with God, not through feeling the squeeze from the outside, not by being pressured into it, but on the contrary, finding that from the inside, really attuning ourselves with the call of our soul, yearning to connect and reach higher.